Which is best, the new BMW 7 Series, Mercedes S-Class or Audi A8? Well, to find out, I'm going to compare them for how luxurious they are. That is nice. Their technology. What they like to drive. It's an absolute rocket ship. What they like to be driven in. And how quick they are from 0 to 60 miles an hour. I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Carwow. Buy, sell, Carwow. This BMW 7 Series is the M760e plug-in hybrid. So it has a 3-litre turbocharged petrol engine mated to an electric motor, and combined you have 571 horsepower and 800 newton meters of torque. This is the most powerful car here. It drives all 4 wheels by an 8-speed automatic gearbox. The Mercedes S-Class is the next most powerful car here. It is the S580e plug-in hybrid, 3-litre, straight-6 turbocharged engine mated to an electric motor that puts out a combined 510 horsepower and 750 newton meters of torque, driving the rear wheels only for a 9-speed automatic gearbox. The least most powerful car here is this Audi A8, and it's a 60 TFSI E. It's a lot of letters. It's a plug-in hybrid yet again with a 3-litre V6 petrol engine mated to an electric motor with a combined 462 horsepower and 700 newton meters of torque, driving all 4 wheels via an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Now let's see how quick these cars are at accelerating from 0 to 60 miles an hour, because that's a really important test for luxury limousines. Now, even though this Mercedes isn't the least powerful, it is the slowest to 60 miles an hour. That's because it's the heaviest at 2.4 tons and it's rear-wheel drive only. Mercedes says it'll do 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, but let's find out the reality. Pop it into sports mode. Sports mode. Let's do this. Whoa, it got a bit squirrely. And that's the 60. Oh my gosh, that's bang on the money. 5.17 seconds, rounded up to 5.2. That was really good. Smooth, quick, and it doesn't like jolt you right from the launch. So that's what you want from a chauffeur car, a nice steady build-up of speed, but it being swift enough to get your VIP away from the paparazzi. According to Audi, this A8 does 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds. The benefit of all-wheel drive gives you good traction for launching. Still scrabbling for grip. That felt pretty brutal, and it was quicker than they say. 4.47 seconds. That was really quick. You can definitely get away from the paparazzi quicker in this than the Mercedes. Finally then, the BMW. We've got a lot more power, but we do have some more weight. Comes in over 2.5 tons, this thing. Right, let's see what it does. 0 to 60. BMW says 4.3 seconds. Blimey, this is quick. Crazy. 4.16. That is really quick. It really is an M performance model, isn't it? Let's quickly compare the prices of these cars. So this is the starting price of the range for each of them. This is the starting price of each of the models I've got here, and this is the very price of these cars I've got here with options. And finally, here's the average saving on these cars through Carwow. The question is though, which of these 3 cars looks the most expensive? Well, I'm going to get you to decide by voting in the pinned comment. And to help you out, let's have a little beauty pageant. So starting off here, first of all we have the rather gorgeous Audi A8 looking beautiful in black and silver. Hails from Ingolstadt, and its interests include index trackers and property. Next up we have the Mercedes S-Class, elegant as ever once again in black and bright chrome detailing. Hailing from Stuttgart with interests that include corporate bonds and gilts. Finally, we have the BMW 7 Series. A little bit more flashy, this one, with its matte silver paint and two-tone alloy wheels. Coming from Munich, its interests include hedge funds and foreign exchange. A bit more of a risk taker, this one. The BMW is the biggest risk taker here on the inside as well. I mean, just look at the design. You got this big glass section here right across the dash, and the pink LED underneath works. Though if you don't like pink, you can choose a different colour if you like. And there's more blinginess here, look. It's all very, very showy, isn't it? Same can be said of the infotainment screen, this big, crisp, widescreen curved display. It's pretty responsive. though some of the menus are a touch confusing, even though it is laid out like your mobile phone. Climate controls have to be operated through the screen, but it's not too hard to do. It's quite simple, better than in some other modern BMWs. I like all the features, like the metal elements of the speakers, and all the materials feel very, very expensive. And this being the M Performance model comes with a sporty steering wheel. I like the sunroof. It's got special elements in it which also light up at night. It's quite cool. Then there's this feature for those who are too posh to actually open and close doors themselves. I can press this button, and my door will open. And then to close it, I just put my foot on the brake. Not gonna lie, this Audi A8 feels a little bit like a come down after being in that flashy BMW. However, some people will find it more appealing, and it does appeal to my OCD. The way the lines are all just like dead straight and everything's just ordered and simple and like sensible. It's actually quite nice and logical, and that's good for you. And quality's there as well. Doesn't feel as expensive though as the BMW. It hasn't got all the extra flashy bits and trinkets like that. And the infotainment system, you know, it's quite simple and easy to use, but it doesn't feel quite as wow as the BMWs. And it's the same with the sunroof. Look, it's just normal glass. None of the LED elements in it. But it's still a very nice place to be. Oh, and it does have this feature. Maybe it's not doors, like opening and stuff, but we do have this, look, vents that open up in the dash when you turn the air conditioning on. It's all right, isn't it? The interior of the Mercedes is sort of like halfway between the flashy BMW and the demure Audi. And look, you do have some blingy bits there with the LED lighting, but then the actual design of the dash and everything is a bit more conservative. I like the steering wheel though, but I do not like the touch sensitive buttons on it. You accidentally brush them while you're driving and it changes station, alters the volume. And when you want to use them, sometimes they're hard to actually use to do the thing you want to do. It's annoying. See what's also annoying? Some parts of this cabin feel a little bit cheap. Like that and this. It's no better than in an A-Class, and that is really cheap as well, and you do touch that. But other than that, it does feel quite posh and well made, and I like the screens in this car. So it's a nice, easy to use infotainment system. I find it easier than the BMW, and obviously it's a lot brighter and shinier than what you get in the Audi, and it's got all the information you need. I like it in here, but I think I like the BMW more. It's very comfy here in the back of the S-Class. Seats are really luxurious, especially with this lovely pillow. Underneath this armrest, you have a tablet there so you can control different things, such as the climate and other bits and pieces like the infotainment system. I'll just shut that up so you can see what's happening next. So as well as loads of knee room and headroom, you can get super, super comfy by just pressing a button on here, and it will automatically move the front passenger seat forward so that I can stretch out. I should probably show you this as well. This car has a little seatbelt butler. Look, so you don't even have to reach for the seatbelt, it just hands it to you. To make it go away, I'm gonna have to just open the door like that. There we go. Or obviously you plug it in. Now once this is moved out the way, it'll extend a little foot rest for me. Please excuse the boots going on here, Mercedes. Probably not what your normal customers would wear. But oh yeah, that is nice. It is very nice. The Audi doesn't feel quite as salubrious as that S-Class here in the back. I mean, there is loads of room, and of course I can recline my seat. But what it doesn't do is automatically move the front passenger seat forward for me. I have to go into here and then use this button to control the front passenger seat. And now I can move it for a bit more foot space. Although to be fair, there's plenty without moving it forward. What I'm missing though is a footrest. There's no footrest. Oh, actually there is, look. They give you these. I don't really know what that's all about. As with the Mercedes though, you do have an infotainment screen here where you can control various functions, though it's not removable like in the S-Class, so you probably won't lose it. As with the S-Class, I didn't show you this on the S-Class, but it has them. We have a blind for the rear window, and I can obviously do the sunroof and the one for my window. I've got this rear entertainment package as well, so I can watch movies and stuff on these screens. It's nice, just not quite as nice as the Mercedes. Finally, we come to the BMW, and it does feel the most special here in the back. It is lifted by this light coloured leather, but anyway, it's just got more tech. I should reveal though that this car does have the Ultimate Pack fitted to it, and that's a £22,000 option, but it does include things such as these reclining seats. I'll recline them using this little controller in my door here. The other passenger has one as well, so just press that button and the seat will do its thing. Very similar to the Mercedes, really, how it all works. And while that's happening, I can show you something else. Underneath here, there's nothing special going on, because for some reason, we haven't got the tablet which should go there. I'm pretty sure it comes as part of the Ultimate Pack. Maybe someone's stolen it. Now, look at this. This is something that didn't happen with the Mercedes. I didn't get under calf support. I mean, this really does feel special. Oh, I feel a bit bad about getting my dirty outdoor boots on this lovely leather. But look at this. But that is not even the best bit. Look at the screen that you get in the back of this car compared to what was in the Audi. Let's go. This is insane. We've got full Dolby surround sound as well in here, internet connectivity and proper widescreen display here. You can alter the angle of it like that. You can alter the aspect ratio of the viewing experience like that. Unfortunately, I'm offline, so it's not really going to show me anything, but you can watch movies from various streaming services if you're connected. It's amazing. The BMW's luggage capacity is 525 litres, and that's regardless of which version you go for, normal or plug-in hybrid. It's pretty spacious, oh yeah. The Audi's boot is not as comfortable. You see, while the normal A8's boot capacity is 505 litres, with the plug-in hybrid, because there's batteries underneath the boot floor, the luggage capacity is reduced to 390 litres, but that is not as bad as with the Mercedes. You see, the standard car, just the normal petrol, has a boot capacity of 550 litres, but with a plug-in hybrid, it reduces to just 320 litres, which is actually smaller than an A-Class. I'm not sure I'm going to fit. Get your head in, get your head in. Ah! Just about fit, but it's not comfy. Now let's compare how these cars drive. I'm going to start off with the benchmark, which is of course the Mercedes S-Class. Here I am wafting along at 40 miles an hour. I'm at some dual carriageway. Let's see what the pickup is like from this hybrid system. So I'm going to floor it. Now, ever such a slight delay, and then here I go barreling past. And it's really smooth, really effortless, really quiet. This car is so quiet. Also the way it goes down the road, just the suspension, it's so relaxing. There's something very chilled about driving an S-Class, which just makes you relaxed. I love them. They make you feel special. Oh look, and I'm now just cruising on electric power. It'll do it at over 80 miles an hour. You'll rinse through your range then though. However, Mercedes does claim that this has an electric only range of 68 miles. I think the reality is going to be more like maybe 50, but let's say you drive the car like most people do with their plug-in hybrids, and that's forget to charge them. And then you're just relying on the petrol engine. Well, what I did earlier with this car was lock its charge. It was just running solely on the petrol engine, and it has averaged 37.7 miles per gallon. So when you're just going up the motorway, long distance stuff, and really you've used up all your electricity, that's the kind of economy you will get from this car. That is essentially your worst case scenario, and it's still pretty good. I'll tell you what's also really good. When the engine does cut in when you've been traveling on electric power, it's not that intrusive in terms of the noise. So it still feels very serene in here. There's no need to go to a health spa or something like that. Just get yourself a Mercedes S-Class. It'll chill you out. Thing is though, what is this car like when you need to get a bit of a hurry on and you're driving across country? Well, I'm going to put it into sports mode, which will stiffen up the suspension a little bit and make the car more responsive. Whoop, that's the safety system active there. Thought I was going to drive into our camera car in front, but let's see how we do about keeping up with that T-Roc car in front of us. So let's go. Do you know what? With the suspension in sport, you do notice that it's firmer, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable still. It continues to iron out the bumps. It's very impressive. You can tell this is an area that Mercedes engineers really focus on, making sure that the S-Class is just super comfortable no matter what road you're on and what mode you're in. But this is a big old car. So it's long, but it's also heavy. It's about 300 kilos heavier than the standard petrol version, the S500. But it still goes down the road well. Look at this, it's easily keeping up with that T-Roc R. This will be the testing corner here. It's a little bit tighter. Is it going to push wide or is it just going to grip? It does help the steering's actually really nice on this car, and it stays nice and flat through the bends because it's got an active anti-roll system that stops the car leaning. It's actually very good. The only thing that I'm not convinced about at the brakes. Because it's a plug-in hybrid and you've got regen braking, they just feel a little bit unnatural for the first part of the braking travel, which when you're going quickly and trying to slow up a big heavy car like this is a bit disconcerting. What's also a bit annoying is the turning circle. It's 12.5 meters, which isn't terrible for a big car, but what's annoying is that Mercedes also do a Maybach version of this and an S63, and in the UK they have rear axle steering, yet for some reason they don't offer it on the standard S-Class. Maybe they're just like, well, it's going to be driven by a chauffeur, they can worry about manoeuvrability, it's not a problem. But I disagree. Anyway, speaking about being chauffeured, I think I should jump in the back and see what it's like to be a passenger in this car. Okay, here I am in the back seat. We're still on the twisty road, and it's going to be interesting to feel if I get a little bit nauseous as my driver hoons about a little bit. You really feel the acceleration actually. Once again, that's the safety warning system because it's getting too close to our tracking car, just like I did. It doesn't feel bad. Sometimes if you go quickly and you're in the back seat, it can make you feel car sick, but this has been fine so far. Anyway, maybe you want to take your car out of sport mode drive, all right? To be fair, I don't think a chauffeur would ever use that. So now we're in hybrid mode. Often when you're in the rear seats of a car, it's not as comfortable as the front because you sit closer to the rear axle, but in this S-Class, it's just lovely. Hardly any road noise, hardly any wind noise, just a little bit from up there. Super luxurious, super comfortable. I cannot hear the engine at all, but I can see from here that it's running on electric power. Put it onto hold mode if you can.
It's running now.
I can tell no difference. Seems the same. This is such a nice way to travel. Ah, I love an S-Class. I love them from the driver's seat and I love them from the back seat. The other cars have a lot to live up to. Now let's see what the Audi A8 is like. So first thing I'm going to do is just check out the pickup when you floor it from 40. It's very smooth as well. Bit more engine noise than you get in the Mercedes S-Class. Also, going along at speed, there's a little bit more road noise. And I think the car doesn't quite float down the road in the same way. The suspension is brilliant, really good over bumps, but there's just a quality to the S-Classes that really does make it feel almost like the car is just hovering above the surface of the road. But in isolation, this is super comfy as well. And we're talking just small percentages of difference. You really have to be very, very critical to be able to separate the cars. This is still really lovely to drive. I think one of the things with this car is the seats. They just feel a bit firmer than in the Mercedes, which in some ways makes it feel less comfortable, while still being very, very comfortable, if that makes sense. As with the Mercedes S-Class, you can drive this A8 at over 80 miles an hour on electric power. The range on electric only power is 37 miles. Reality might be a bit less than 30. Now this car also has been run without using any electricity to see what it's like when you do run out of electricity, or if you're going for long distances, what kind of economy you'll get out of the 3-litre V6. And when I did that, it was averaging 29.8 miles per gallon. It's gone up a little bit more now because I am running in hybrid mode, so it is using some electrical assistance for improved economy. So not only is the electric only range not as good as the Mercedes, the petrol engine doesn't seem as efficient either. Now let's see how this A8 handles a twisty road. So I'm going to put it into sports mode. So once again, as with the Mercedes, it's stiffened up the suspension, added some weight to the steering, sharpened the throttle response, means that the engine is more likely to kick in. Oh, it goes well now. Actually, it really does still soak up the bumps extremely well in sports mode. This car actually feels a little bit more planted when you're going quicker than the Mercedes, but the steering doesn't feel quite as nice. It's amazing how you can drive these things, considering how big and heavy they are. This is still slightly lighter than the Mercedes though, 2.3 tons. Look at that. I prefer the feel of the brakes in this. I think they're a little bit better than in the Mercedes. You don't feel the weird hybridiness regen quite so much. Also, this car is fitted with rear wheel steering, so the turning circle is 11.8 meters. So this turn should be slightly easier. Yeah, look at that, it's easier than in the S-Class. You do notice it. I was in absolutely no danger of getting close to that curb, whereas in the S-Class I was a little bit like, ooh. This car really does feel responsive in sports mode, and it does benefit as well from four-wheel drive traction, unlike the Mercedes. I actually feel a bit more confident driving this one quickly than the Mercedes. Just seems a little bit more sure-footed. If only it had the steering feel of the S-Class, then it'd be a clear win on a twisty road for this. However, the question is, does this car's slightly more focused handling mean that it's more likely to make you feel a bit nauseous when you're in the back? It does definitely feel more sporty from back here. It's quite impressive what Audi have achieved with this, to tell you the truth. But it's not making me feel sick, which is good. However, that's not really the major point with this car, is it? Let's see how it compares when you're just wafting along. We're back into normal mode now, out of sport, and it does feel a little bit firmer in terms of how it goes down the road. Also, I'm noticing a little bit more road noise just echoing in the cabin, maybe a bit more wind noise. This doesn't seem quite so well insulated, though yet again we're talking just very small percentages difference. Still very comfortable, still very relaxing, and you'd still be more than happy to be chauffeured around in one of these. But when you're that kind of VIP that expects the very best, I would pick to be chauffeured in the S-Class. If I had a choice, I would. Finally then, I'm in the BMW, and I'm going to start with the overtake test, so 40 miles an hour, floor it. That is the longest pause of all the cars by far, but then once it's on it, this seems the quickest. That was seriously quick. There's another thing I'm noticing with this car. It seems the least quiet. Just a bit more road noise than the other two. The suspension is nice and comfy as well. The way this drives is quite interesting because it has that slightly floaty feeling of the Mercedes, but even though it feels like softer than the Audi, it doesn't quite isolate you from the little bumps as well. As with the other two cars, we've driven this with the battery hold mode on, so when you're just driving it using the internal combustion engine, this car averaged 38 miles per gallon. So if you're going on a long slog, that's what you're going to get. Now, if you're just driving around town and you do charge it up, you can get, according to BMW, 47 miles of range on electric power alone. Reality is it's going to be just over 30, 35 is probably what you're going to get. So in between the Mercedes and the Audi. In terms of top speed on electric power, once again, over 80 miles an hour, so more than quicker than you can go legally in the UK. Oh, now we've come to the twisty road, so I'm going to put the car into sports mode, which is a bit tricky to do. I have to first press my modes, and then press sport on the screen, and then go activate. Here we go. Blimey, it's added some, I think it's fake noise coming through the speakers to make it sound like a performance car. But considering how heavy it is, it's the heaviest car here, 2.5 tons, this goes like stink. Absolutely flies. I better back off. It's so quick. Obviously you've got four-wheel drive traction, which really helps, but this car has a lot of performance, though I guess it is an M performance model. So in sports mode, like with the others, it stiffens the suspension, but you notice it more in this. It feels firmer. And don't half go around corners. Blimey, it's an absolute rocket ship. Yeah, this is the sportiest handling car. It's nuts. I can't believe what BMW's engineers have done with this. Bizarre. The only thing that lets it down is the steering. It's just like light and vague, and it's the least good steering here, but the rest of the car, the way it handles, wow. Finally, I'm going to test the turning circle. So this car has rear wheel steering, which probably does help with the agility when you're driving it quickly. But the turning circle's 12.3 meters, which isn't really much better than the Mercedes, which doesn't have rear wheel steering. And it's certainly not as maneuverable as that Audi. But oh my gosh, once you want to have some fun, all is forgiven, because this is definitely the limousine getaway car of choice. But really, that's not why you buy this kind of car, right? I'm going to jump in the back seats and see what it's like as a passenger if your driver thinks they're in Grand Theft Auto. Bloody hell, okay. Yeah, you notice the firmer suspension here in the back for sure when the driver's got in sports mode. The throttle response as well is much better in sports mode. There's far less of a delay. And I can really feel that when he puts his foot down. This is nuts. It's actually quite fun as a passenger here in the back, just getting hooned about. And it didn't make me feel sick. In some ways, when a car's a bit more lollopy and softer, that's more likely to make you feel nauseous, a little bit like you're on a sea, whereas this, in sports mode, it's quite fun. Anyway, let's go into a more relaxing mode. Yeah, even in a more relaxing mode, I'm feeling the bumps more in this than I did in the A8 and the S-Class. And once again, it's just not quite as quiet as the Mercedes nor the A8. That's a little bit of a shame because actually I really love these seats. They are more comfortable than the Audis in the back, but there is just a bit more road noise. Also, I think there's a bigger difference in the comfort level here in the back compared to the front between the other cars. The other two seem to make the rear passenger feel just as comfortable as the driver, whereas I'm feeling the bumps more here in the rear seat than I did in the front of the BMW. Now you might be thinking, come on Matt, you're being a little bit unfair on this car because it's the M Performance model, so the suspension is a little bit firmer because it's got M Performance suspension. As a result, it doesn't iron out bumps quite as well as the other cars. You can get a normal 750e version which will have slightly softer suspension, but I haven't driven it so I can't compare it today. I'm just comparing the cars I've got here. And really, to be fair, this is still easily comfortable enough that if you wanted the crazy performance and the interesting interior of this car, the ride quality is not going to sway things either way. And that brings me on to my final verdict. So then, which of these three cars is best? Now the Audi A8 is getting on a bit, but it still is blooming lovely to drive and to travel in. However, the way the Mercedes S-Class just glides down the road means this is just a bit more special. But it's not quite as special as the new BMW 7 Series. Now it might not be quite as good at wafting you about as the Mercedes S-Class, but I think that's because this is the M Performance version with slightly stiffer suspension and sportier tyres. And in every other way, it just feels the more special car. It really is a very luxurious thing. And that's why it wins this test. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know if you agree with my verdict in the comments below. Click on those windows there for some more videos, and on that box there to go to Carwow to sell your car the easy way. Just upload some photos, give a brief description, then dealers all across the country will bid on it in an online auction. It's easy to use and completely free. Thanks for watching.